The cameras had barely started rolling when the air around the Love and Hip Hop set turned electric. No one knew what triggered it, but in seconds, a routine filming day spiraled into pure chaos. Yandy Smith stood frozen at first, eyes burning with disbelief, while Erica Mena stormed toward her with the kind of fury that could split the air in two. The crew shouted, security scrambled, and Mendeecees, caught right in the middle, looked like a man watching his entire world collapse in front of him. What started as playful teasing about the past suddenly exploded into a public showdown that no one on set saw coming. Witnesses later said the tension had been building for weeks. Rumors had been floating around about secret messages, late-night calls, and the kind of quiet emotional distance that makes even the strongest relationship tremble. Yandy had tried to play it calm, to keep her composure in front of the cameras, but when Erica stepped too close, when she mentioned Mendeecees' name with that pointed little smirk, something inside Yandy snapped. Her voice rose, hands flying as words turned into fire, and within moments, the soundstage felt less like a reality show and more like a war zone. The crew begged them to calm down, but there was no stopping it. Erica threw accusations that cut deep, claiming Yandy wasn't as innocent as she looked, hinting that Mendeecees' loyalty might not be as solid as everyone believed. The crowd gasped, and Mendeecees froze, glancing from one woman to the other, like a man trapped in his own nightmare. Yandy's reply was sharp, full of years of bottled hurt and pride. "You don't know my life, Erica," she shouted, her voice trembling but fierce. "You don't get to talk about my marriage when you can't even keep one." Those words hit like a grenade. Erica's face changed instantly, half hurt, half rage. Before anyone could blink, chairs were pushed, a drink went flying, and producers jumped in to pull them apart. Everyone on set could feel it. This wasn't just about a man, or a rumor, or even the show. This was about pride, betrayal, and the kind of unresolved tension that reality TV loves and destroys in equal measure. Fans who caught snippets from behind-the-scenes footage were left speechless. The clips spread online within hours. Shaky videos of Erica shouting, Yandy crying, and Mendeecees trying to hold both of them back. The internet lit up, with thousands of comments asking the same question. What really happened between Yandy, Erica, and Mendeecees, and why did it all explode now? As the dust settled and producers ordered a break in filming, the silence that followed was heavy enough to choke on. Everyone had seen the truth in those few explosive minutes, years of tension, buried emotions, and painful honesty breaking through the surface. And deep down, everyone knew one thing for sure. This fight wasn't over. It was only the beginning of something far darker, far more personal, and far more explosive than anyone expected. The moment the cameras stopped rolling, the set was a battlefield of whispers. No one dared to speak too loudly, but the tension hung heavy enough to feel like static in the air. Yandy was pacing back and forth, her hands trembling, makeup smudged from tears she refused to let anyone see. Mendeecees stood near the corner, eyes darting between producers, who looked just as shaken as the cast. Erica had been escorted to another room, but her voice, sharp and furious, still echoed faintly from down the hall. It wasn't just another Love and Hip Hop moment. This one felt different. It felt real. The argument had started small, something about a scene being reshot, but once Erica mentioned Mendeecees' name, everything came undone. She had said it in that way that dripped with implication, like she knew something the rest of them didn't. "Don't act like your man never texted me," she snapped, eyes locked on Yandy. It was enough to make everyone freeze. A sound guy nearly dropped his mic. Boom. Yandy's mouth opened, but no words came out at first. Then, in a voice that shook, she said, "You're lying, Erica. You always need attention." That's when Erica laughed, a short, cruel sound that hit harder than anything else. "Oh please," she said. "Every woman on this show pretends her relationship is perfect until the receipts come out." She took a step forward, and Mendeecees shifted uncomfortably. "You think he didn't confide in me when y'all were fighting? You think I didn't see what kind of man he really is?" The crew had tried to step in, but it was too late. Yandy's voice rose, trembling with anger. And Mendeecees found himself caught between two women who both demanded the truth. The way he looked cornered, nervous, only made it worse. "Say something, Mendeecees," Yandy yelled, pointing at him. "Tell her she's lying." But he hesitated for a second too long, and that pause was enough to break her completely. In that single second, every insecurity she had ever buried came rushing back. The years she waited for him when he was locked up, the public judgment, the loyalty she had worn like armor. And now, right in front of everyone, that armor cracked. "I held you down," she said, tears slipping down her cheeks. "I stayed when everyone told me not to. And this is what I get." Mendeecees reached out, trying to calm her, but she pulled away. Her voice softened, but it carried the kind of pain that silences a room. How many times have I had to defend you against rumors like this? Erica folded her arms, smirking, but behind that smirk was something else, hurt, maybe, or guilt. Don't blame me for your man's choices, she said, her tone quieter but no less sharp. If he didn't want me to know things, maybe he shouldn't have said them. The producer's voice came through the walkie, ordering cameras to stop. But a few phones were still recording, and in today's world, that meant the truth, or whatever version people believed, was already on its way to the internet. Within hours, fans would dissect every look, every gesture, every hesitation. Some would call Erica a others would say Yandy overreacted, but none of them would understand the history pulsing under that moment. When Erica was finally escorted out, she shouted over her shoulder, "You'll see what I'm talking about when it comes out." And then the door slammed behind her. The sound echoed like a gunshot. Yandy sank into a chair, covering her face. Mendeecees knelt beside her, whispering, "Babe, don't let this get to you. She's just trying to mess with us." But the doubt was already there, creeping into her chest like cold water. She wanted to believe him. She really did. But there was something in his voice, a flicker of guilt, a trace of uncertainty that she couldn't ignore. Outside, a few cast members whispered among themselves. One of them, still holding her phone, muttered, "They've had issues for months. You could see it coming." Another replied, "Yeah, but Erica's messy. She twists anything for camera time." Inside the dressing room, Yandy sat in silence. She had faced rumors before, but this time it was different. It wasn't just about her image. It was about her trust being questioned in front of millions. And worse, it was Erica doing it, the one woman she had always tried to keep her distance from because something about her energy felt dangerous. Mendeecees tried to hold her hand again. "Look, I never did anything like that," he said quietly. "Yeah, I talked to her about stuff, but that's it. It wasn't like that." "Then why did she act like it was?" Yandy whispered. He had no answer, just silence. The next morning, social media exploded. The clip had leaked. Thousands of fans commented, tagging all three of them. Team Yandy trended within hours, followed closely by Erica's receipts. Fan pages broke down every frame, claiming they saw guilt in Mendeecees' expression or truth in Erica's tone. One post even claimed to have screenshots of a text thread that could change everything. By afternoon, Mendeecees' phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Calls from producers, castmates, even his manager. He ignored them all. Yandy scrolled through her feed in disbelief, reading comment after comment until her stomach turned. "She deserves better," one wrote. "He's been sneaky since day one," another said. By the time they were called back to film confessionals, neither of them wanted to go. But the show had a schedule to keep, and drama like this was ratings gold. When Yandy walked onto set again, her posture was different, stiffer, colder. Erica was already there, sitting with her legs crossed and that same unreadable expression. The air went thick again, and Mendeecees, sitting off to the side, could only brace himself. The producer asked if they were ready. Neither woman answered. Then Yandy broke the silence. "Let's just get this over with." The cameras rolled, and the confessionals began. But this time, no one was pretending. Every word, every tear, every glare was real. And as they spoke, it became clear that what had started as a fight on set was quickly turning into something that would follow them far beyond the screen, something that would test loyalties, expose secrets, and shake every friendship that had survived this long. As the red light on the camera blinked, Yandy looked directly into the lens and said quietly, "Sometimes the people you think are rooting for you are the ones who want to see you fall." The room fell silent. Mendeecees looked down. Erica smiled faintly, as if to say, "Maybe so, but at least I'm honest about it." No one clapped. No one spoke. The truth, or at least the version they'd all decided to believe, was now out in the open. And from that moment on, nothing on set or off, it would ever be the same again. As the day dragged on, the production team tried to regain control, but the damage had already been done. The argument between Yandy and Erica had become the heartbeat of every conversation on set. No one cared about the next scene. No one cared about schedules. Even the camera crew whispered when Yandy passed by. She could feel their eyes on her, full of curiosity and pity, and it made her skin crawl. She wanted to scream, to tell everyone to stop looking at her like she was broken, but she just lifted her chin and walked straight ahead, pretending the world hadn't shifted beneath her feet. Mendeecees followed her everywhere, desperate to explain. "I swear it's not what she made it sound like," he kept saying, but his words fell flat. Yandy didn't want explanations anymore. She wanted proof, something solid that could silence the storm Erica had unleashed. You think I don't know how she plays people? Yandy snapped. She did the same thing to Sin, to Safari, to everybody. She thrives off this mess. And you gave her exactly what she needed, a reason to drag me. Mendeecees rubbed his face, exhaling hard. I didn't give her anything. I was trying to be cool with everybody. It's a show, babe. We all talk. But Yandy's voice broke through his calm like glass under pressure. You don't talk to her. Not her, not after the things she said about me. The crew members pretended to look busy, but everyone was listening. It was impossible not to. The love between Yandy and Mendeecees had always been the emotional center of the show, a story of patience and loyalty. Now that image was unraveling in real time, and people couldn't look away. That evening, a producer called a private meeting with all three of them. Erica arrived first, wearing sunglasses indoors, scrolling through her phone like nothing had happened. When Yandy entered the room, she froze. The tension was thick enough to cut with a knife. Mendeecees took a seat between them, his body language tense, shoulders tight. The producer's voice was firm. Look, we need to settle this before filming resumes. What happened yesterday can't happen again. Erica shrugged. I didn't start it. I just told the truth. Yandy leaned forward, her eyes sharp. The truth, or your version of it. Because there's a big difference. Erica took off her sunglasses, revealing eyes that gleamed with defiance. My version, girl, I don't need to make up anything. Your man was the one in my DMs talking about how hard it is to find peace. You think I screenshotted that for fun? She tossed her phone onto the table, the screen lighting up with what looked like messages. Mendeecees grabbed it instantly. That's not even real, he said, voice rising. You edited that. Erica laughed under her breath. Of course, you'd say that. Yandy's heart pounded as she stared at the messages. They looked real, his name, his tone, even the small typing style she knew so well. But there was a hesitation in her mind. A small voice whispering that this was too perfect, too timed, too designed to destroy her. You've gone too far. Erica, she said softly, her tone low but dangerous. This isn't entertainment anymore. This is my family. Then maybe you should protect it better. Erica shot back. Mendeecees slammed his hands on the table, startling everyone. I'm done with this, he said. Believe what you want, Yandy. I'm not defending myself against lies anymore. And he stormed out, leaving both women in stunned silence. For a long moment, no one moved. Erica smirked and leaned back in her chair. Funny how quick he runs when the truth comes out. But Yandy wasn't breaking this time. She stood up, straightened her jacket, and said, You think you've won something, but all you've done is expose yourself. Then she walked out without another word. That night, social media went wild again. Screenshots of the alleged messages began circulating online. Half the fans called them fake, pointing out inconsistencies. Others insisted they were real, dissecting punctuation marks and emojis like detectives. Gossip blogs titled it, Yandy's Heartbreak and Erica's Revenge, turning their pain into clickbait. Yandy sat on her couch, scrolling through the chaos, her mind spinning. She knew how this world worked. Drama fed ratings, and pain fed attention. But seeing strangers debate her marriage made her stomach twist. She glanced at Mendeecees, who sat quietly across the room, typing something on his phone. She wanted to ask who he was texting, but she stopped herself. She was tired of being suspicious. Tired of being the one holding everything together while the world pulled her apart. Suddenly, her phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. It read, You should check your husband's messages before defending him. Her breath caught. She stared at the screen, heart pounding. The message was followed by a photo, blurry but unmistakable. It was Mendeecees at a dinner table with someone who looked a lot like Erica. The timestamp showed it was taken last week. She didn't know whether to scream or cry. She just sat there, frozen, while Mendeecees kept typing, oblivious. When he finally looked up, she asked in a steady voice, Did you meet her last week? His expression changed immediately. What? No. Why would I? She turned her phone toward him. The color drained from his face. It's not what it looks like, he said quickly, standing up. That was for a meeting. She a meeting? Yandy repeated, her voice cold now. A meeting that you forgot to mention to me. He rubbed his forehead. Babe, it wasn't like that. She stood up, eyes brimming with tears. Don't call me babe right now. Outside, thunder rolled as rain began to fall, adding a strange drama to the already broken silence. It was almost cinematic, the kind of pain that felt too big for real life. The next day, Yandy didn't show up for filming. The producers tried calling her, but she ignored every message. Erica, on the other hand, showed up early, dressed flawlessly, pretending not to care. If she can't handle a little truth, she told the cameras, maybe she's not built for this life. By noon, blogs were running with new headlines. Yandy walks off set after Mendeecees caught in secret meeting with Erica Mena. The internet was eating it up. Fans posted memes, others speculated, and some begged Yandy to leave him for good. That evening, Mendeecees finally showed up at her door. He looked exhausted, defeated. "I didn't cheat," he said as soon as she opened the door. "I swear on everything. It wasn't like that." Yandy didn't respond. She just looked at him for a long moment before whispering, "I want to believe you, but I don't even know what's real anymore." His voice cracked. "You're real to me? Everything else is noise." The sincerity in his voice almost broke her. Almost, but trust, once cracked, doesn't heal overnight. She turned away, tears falling silently as he stood there, unsure whether to leave or hold on. And somewhere across town, Erica watched it all unfold through her phone screen, a half smile on her face. Because no matter what anyone said, she had already done what she came to do: set the whole world on fire. And walk away before anyone could put it out. The morning after, the studio felt colder than usual. Cameras were being set up, lights adjusted, but there was a silence that no one dared break. Word had spread that Yandy might not return. The crew whispered about replacements, while the cast debated whether the drama had crossed a line even for love and hip-hop. Mendeecees showed up alone, wearing dark shades, his usual calm replaced by exhaustion. He kept checking his phone, hoping Yandy would text, but the screen stayed empty. The producers pulled him aside, their voices low but firm. "Look, the show needs closure. People are waiting for your side. Erica's already given hers." Mendeecees frowned. "Of course she did. She lives for this." "Doesn't matter," one of them said. "If you don't talk, her version becomes the truth." He sighed, rubbing his temples. "Fine, but I'm not here to trash Yandy. I just want to clear the air." The cameras rolled, and for a moment, Mendeecees hesitated. He wasn't the type to show vulnerability on camera. But this time he didn't have a choice. "Everybody's seen what's going on," he began, voice steady but low. "And I get it, y'all think I'm lying, but I'm not." Erica twisted something that wasn't even serious. "Yeah, we talked, but it was about the show. About business. I didn't hide it because it wasn't something to hide." He paused, looking away from the camera for a moment. "But when you're in this life, even a whisper becomes a headline." The crew stayed silent. The only sound was the faint hum of the lights overhead. Meanwhile, Yandy was miles away, sitting in her friend's apartment. She hadn't slept properly in days. Her phone was full of missed calls from producers and texts from castmates asking if she was okay. She didn't answer any of them. Her friend Kimbella sat beside her, holding a cup of tea. "You know the game, Yan," she said gently. "They feed off this, but don't let them break you." "It's not the show," Yandy whispered. "It's him. I don't even know if he's telling the truth anymore." "You do," Kimbella said softly. "You just don't want to." Yandy stared at her reflection in the window, eyes tired, heart heavy. She wanted to be strong, to believe that love could survive anything, but something in her gut told her the story wasn't over. Back on set, Erica was doing her own confessional, her tone calculated. "Everyone keeps saying I'm messy," she said, flipping her hair, "but nobody talks about why I get messy. I react. If people stay in their lane, I stay in mine." Yandy wanted to play the perfect wife, and that's cool. "But don't act like your man didn't slide into my world when things got rough." She paused, smirking. Maybe he just needed someone to listen. Her words spread across social media before the episode even aired. Fans flooded timelines with theories and accusations. "Mendeecees emotionally cheated," one post read. Another said, "Erica always plays victim but never innocent." It became impossible to separate truth from performance. And maybe that's how everyone liked it. Confusion made good television. Later that night, Yandy finally called Mendeecees. Her voice was quiet. "Meet me. Just us. No cameras." He didn't hesitate. They met at a quiet spot by the water, away from the noise of the city. The sky was dark, the moon low, and the only sound was the gentle splash of waves against the dock. For a moment, neither spoke. Then Yandy finally said, "I just need to know if you ever gave her a reason to think she could come between us." Mendeecees looked at her, his eyes heavy with regret. "I talked to her. That's it. I should have shut it down sooner, but I didn't think it mattered. I swear to you, I never touched her. Never crossed that line." Yandy's voice broke slightly. "Then why does it feel like you did?" He took her hands, his grip firm but gentle. "Because she wanted it to. She wanted you to feel this pain. She doesn't care about me. She wants the world to see you fall apart." She wanted to believe him. She wanted to let the words soothe her. But something in her heart still felt uneasy. "If that's true," she said quietly, "then she's already winning." They sat in silence, watching the ripples on the water. Finally, Mendeecees said, "Then don't let her take what we built." Yandy looked away, her jaw tightening. "We built it together, but you left cracks in it, and she just walked through." The next day, filming resumed again. Yandy returned to the set, composed but cold. Everyone turned to look when she entered. Erica, sitting across the room, arched a brow but said nothing. Mendeecees stood up as if ready to speak, but Yandy walked right past him to her chair. The producer announced they'd be filming a joint scene resolution talk. No one expected peace, but they needed the footage. As cameras rolled, the three sat around a small table. Yandy's face was unreadable, Erica's was defiant, and Mendeecees looked drained. "So," the producer prompted, "where do we go from here?" Erica crossed her legs and leaned back. "I already said what I needed to say. I didn't lie. If people can't handle the truth, that's on them." Yandy took a deep breath. "You didn't tell the truth. You told a story that made you look powerful, and you hurt people just to get attention." Erica laughed softly. "Oh please, Yandy. Everyone here has done that at some point. I just don't pretend I'm above it." Mendeecees spoke finally. "Both of y'all need to chill. This isn't about the show anymore. It's about what we're letting people see." "What people see," Yandy shot back, "is their business when we put it on camera. You should have remembered that when you let her into our space." For a moment, silence, the kind that presses down on everyone's chest. Even the crew stopped moving. Then, Erica smirked. "You know what, Yandy? Maybe he didn't cheat. Maybe he just realized he could breathe around someone who wasn't always judging him." The words hit like a slap. Yandy's composure faltered for the first time, her eyes glistening. Mendeecees stood up, anger flashing in his face. "Enough, Erica," he shouted. "You got what you wanted, just stop." But she only smiled. "Funny thing about truth," she said. "Once it's out, you can't take it back." The producer cut the scene, signaling for cameras to stop, but no one moved. The air was thick, heavy with unspoken things. Erica stood, grabbed her purse, and walked off, her heels echoing down the hallway. Yandy sat there, trembling but silent. Mendeecees knelt beside her again, whispering, "She can't break us unless we let her." Yandy turned to him slowly, eyes steady now. "Then maybe it's time she sees what I look like when I stop letting people play with my life." And for the first time since it all began, her voice didn't shake. It carried power. It carried finality. It carried the quiet promise that the next move would be hers, and no one, not even Erica, would see it coming. As rumors of the poly relationship tore through social media, producers at Love and Hip Hop Atlanta decided to use the chaos to their advantage. Mona Scott Young, ever the strategist, saw the opportunity to boost ratings. She ordered an emergency reunion special, Secrets Revealed, claiming the audience deserved to hear the truth straight from the cast. Rashida refused at first, insisting that she was tired of being made a fool on television. But after a private phone call from Mona promising to let her control the narrative, Rashida agreed to appear. What she didn't know was that Mona already had something bigger planned, a never-before-seen piece of footage that would change everything. The reunion stage was tense from the moment the lights came on. K. Michelle walked out in a red gown, bold as fire, with a smirk that said she already knew the truth everyone was afraid to face. Kirk entered next, looking uneasy. He sat 2 chairs away from Jasmine, who avoided eye contact but couldn't hide her nervous fidgeting. Rashida appeared last. On the outside, though her expression held the kind of stillness that comes before a storm. Mona took her seat in the middle, greeting the audience, but her tone carried the weight of something serious. Before long, the conversation turned to K. Michelle's poly revelation. The audience gasped. Some booed, others shouted questions. K. Michelle leaned forward, her eyes locked on Kirk. "You wanna act like it was just a rumor? Kirk, go ahead. Tell Rashida how many nights y'all had Jasmine over while pretending it was all business meetings." Rashida's head snapped toward Kirk, but he stayed silent. The air thickened with tension. "You wanna lie on national TV again?" K. Michelle continued, her voice rising. "Then explain this." She motioned to Mona, who nodded at the control booth. The big screen flickered to life, showing previously unaired footage from a cast trip to Miami. The video began with a party scene, music, laughter, and drinks, but quickly shifted to a quieter moment. Kirk was seen standing with Jasmine near the pool, their conversation too intimate to mistake. Then Rashida entered the frame, joining them. The clip caught her saying, "Let's just keep this off camera." "All right." The room erupted in gasps. Rashida's jaw dropped as the footage rolled on, showing her, Kirk, and Jasmine leaving together toward a private villa. Rashida stood up, shaking her head. That's edited. Y'all know how production plays with scenes. She shouted, but K. Michelle wouldn't let go. Oh, it's edited. So you didn't say it? You didn't agree to it? She pressed. Jasmine sat frozen, her eyes glistening. They told me it was love, not a setup, she whispered. The words were barely audible, but the microphone caught them. Mona leaned forward, pretending to mediate but secretly feeding the fire. So Jasmine, you're saying all the fire. So Jasmine, you're saying three of you were involved emotionally. Jasmine nodded slowly, tears rolling down her cheeks. The audience erupted again, half in disbelief, half in sympathy. Rashida turned to Kirk, her voice trembling. You told me she meant nothing. You said it was all in the past. Kirk rubbed his temples, muttering, Rashida, it wasn't what it looked like. K. Michelle cut in sharply. Boy, stop lying. You built a whole arrangement and tried to keep it under wraps. Y'all wanted the benefits of love, loyalty, and lust without accountability. The studio fell silent for a moment before Mona asked, Rashida, do you want to respond? Rashida's voice cracked but remained composed. People think they know my marriage, but they don't know what I've forgiven, what I've lived through. I stayed because I believed in family, not because I accepted disrespect. But this is too much. She turned to Jasmine. You were supposed to move on, but you kept coming back into our lives. Jasmine replied softly. He kept calling me. That single sentence was like a dagger. The crowd groaned, and Rashida sat back down, visibly shaken. The tension reached a breaking point when K. Michelle laughed under her breath. Rashida glared at her. You think this is funny? She snapped. K. Michelle replied. No, I think it's sad, but it's about time the truth came out. Mona signaled for a commercial break, but the cameras kept rolling for the behind-the-scenes feed. Off-air, Rashida stormed toward Mona, accusing her of betrayal. You promised me this reunion was about clearing my name, not humiliating me. Mona, unflinching, said, the truth always comes out. Rashida, I didn't film that, y'all did. As the break ended, Mona returned to her seat with a producer's calm. She looked at the cast and said, this show has always been about real lives and real consequences. If this is what's real, then it needed to be seen. The reunion continued, but the mood never recovered. The audience no longer saw Rashida as the victim, or Jasmine as the villain. They saw a triangle of deception, pain, and blurred boundaries. K. Michelle, satisfied that her mission was complete, stood up as soon as the segment ended. I said, my piece. I'm done here, she declared, walking off stage. Her mic picked up her final words as she exited. Atlanta gonna be talking about this one for years. And she was right. That night, social media exploded again. Hashtag Polygate, hashtag RASHEEDA Kirk Jasmine, and hashtag KMIC Hell Exposed were all trending. The footage was replayed, dissected, and turned into memes within hours. Rashida's brand deals took an immediate hit, but she refused to issue any statement. Kirk tried to release a video denying the affair's ongoing nature, claiming the footage was from years ago, but few believed him. Jasmine disappeared from social media altogether. Only K. Michelle seemed at peace, doing interviews and claiming she never wanted to ruin lives, only to reveal patterns. The network executives were thrilled with the ratings spike, but Mona knew the damage extended beyond the cameras. In the quiet after the broadcast, she looked at her phone texts from Rashida unread, calls from Kirk unanswered. She had delivered the most explosive reunion in love and hip-hop history, but deep down, even she wondered if this time, the line between reality and cruelty had finally been crossed. The morning after the reunion aired, Atlanta woke up to chaos. Every gossip blog, YouTube channel, and Instagram page was flooded with clips from the leaked footage. Headlines screamed Rashida caught in poly triangle and K. Michelle was right all along. The video of Rashida whispering, let's keep this off camera, was looped endlessly, turning into a viral meme. For years, Rashida had been seen as the strong wife who forgave and rebuilt. But now, that image was crumbling in front of millions. She shut off her phone, drew the curtains, and told Kirk to leave her alone. Inside their home, silence replaced every conversation. Kirk tried to explain that the footage was manipulated, but Rashida wasn't hearing it anymore. You lied to me too many times, Kirk. Even if it was old, it still happened, she said quietly, her eyes swollen from crying. He paced the room, insisting that he never intended to humiliate her. You think I wanted this? You think I wanted the world to see it? He shouted, but his anger only made her calmer. No, you wanted both of us. You wanted comfort and chaos, and now you got neither. Meanwhile, K. Michelle was living in her own spotlight. She went on Instagram Live that afternoon, laughing at people who accused her of being messy. Y'all call it messy, I call it honesty, she said, sipping from a wine glass. They've been lying to y'all for seasons. I just gave y'all the truth for free. Her live reached 500,000 views in under an hour. In the comments, fans called her a hero. Others called her bitter, but everyone was watching. She knew exactly what she was doing. Jasmine, however, was spiraling. She hadn't expected the footage to air, and the internet was tearing her apart. Some people pitied her, calling her a victim of manipulation. Others branded her as the woman who destroyed a marriage twice. She posted a long message on her Instagram story before deactivating her account. I never meant to hurt anyone. I just wanted love. But maybe love isn't supposed to look like this. The message disappeared within hours, but screenshots spread everywhere. Mona Scott-Young, ever the puppeteer, sat in her office at VH1 headquarters reading reports. The reunion had broken every previous viewership record. The executives congratulated her, calling it television history. But even Mona could feel the heat. She received dozens of messages from angry fans accusing her of exploiting trauma. Her only response was a quiet, "They wanted the truth. I gave it to them." Still, part of her wondered whether this was the moment when the show finally went too far. A week later, Rashida agreed to film a one-on-one interview. No set, no glam team, no lights, just her, and a handheld camera crew. She looked tired, wearing a simple hoodie, her hair pulled back. When the interviewer asked her why she stayed silent, she paused for a long time before answering, "Because I needed to understand what was real and what was for TV." She said, "When you live half your life in front of cameras, you start to lose track of what's truth and what's storyline. I let people rewrite my pain for ratings." She sighed. "But the truth is, there was a time when I thought maybe love could survive anything. I was wrong." That clip aired on Entertainment Tonight, and the reaction was overwhelming. Fans began to sympathize again, calling her brave for finally speaking honestly. But just when it seemed things were settling down, another storm began to brew. A leaked audio recording surfaced online, a conversation between Mona and a producer discussing how they pieced together old and new clips to make the poly footage more dramatic. The internet exploded again. Suddenly, viewers questioned whether the reunion's biggest reveal had been staged. K. Michelle wasted no time addressing it. "I don't care if they edited it. The truth's still the truth," she tweeted. "You can't fake energy. You can't fake guilt." Mona, on the other hand, stayed silent, letting the chaos unfold. Kirk used the leak as a lifeline, posting a video saying, "Told y'all it was fake. Production spliced scenes from different trips to make me look bad." But his attempt to clear his name only reignited the debate. Fans began comparing timestamps, background details, and outfits, trying to prove what was real and what wasn't. Behind closed doors, Rashida was no longer interested in defending anyone. She met privately with Jasmine for the first time since the reunion. They sat across from each other in a quiet cafe, both wearing sunglasses to avoid being recognized. For several minutes, neither spoke. Finally, Jasmine said, "I didn't know they filmed that night. I swear." Rashida nodded slowly. "Maybe you didn't, but it happened. And pretending it didn't won't fix what's broken." Jasmine's voice trembled. "Do you hate me?" Rashida looked out the window. "No. I hate the choices we made." That meeting never aired, but people close to production confirmed it happened. Word leaked that Rashida wanted to walk away from love and hip-hop completely. Mona called her several times, trying to convince her to stay, but Rashida refused. "I've given enough of my life to TV. I'm not letting them write my ending," she told her husband. Kirk begged her not to quit, saying they could rebuild their brand, but she had already made up her mind. In the final twist of the season, VH1 released a surprise teaser, Rashida's final confession. Fans tuned in expecting another scandal, but what they got was something different. Rashida sat in a small studio, no music, no editing tricks. She looked straight into the camera and said, "Everyone wants to know the truth about me. Kirk and Jasmine. The truth is, there was a point when I thought maybe a shared connection could heal what was broken. It didn't. It only made everything more complicated. I let cameras turn my mistakes into storylines, and I let people profit from my pain. But from today, I'm done performing." She paused, took a deep breath, and finished, "I'm choosing peace this time. Even if it means walking away from everything I built." The screen faded to black, and for a moment, there was silence across social media. Then came a flood of messages, some praising her strength, others calling her confession the realest thing in reality TV history. As the dust settled, Mona Scott prepared to move forward with a new cast. K. Michelle signed a separate deal for her own docuseries, while Jasmine left Atlanta entirely. Kirk and Rashida tried therapy, though insiders said their marriage remained fragile. But the one thing everyone agreed on was this. After K. Michelle's exposure and Rashida's confession, love and hip-hop would never be the same again. The scandal marked the end of one era and the beginning of another. It blurred the line between truth and performance so completely that no one could tell where reality stopped and the script began. And somewhere in that blur, 3 lives were forever changed, bound together by a story too wild, too painful, and too human to ever fade away. The weeks that followed the reunion felt like a long hangover for everyone involved. Atlanta's entertainment scene, usually loud and busy, carried a strange kind of quiet. People whispered about what had happened, not just on camera but behind the scenes. Rashida had vanished from public view, skipping every press event and refusing to answer Mona's calls. Kirk was seen alone at the Frost Bistro, sitting at a corner table with his phone face down, his food untouched. Fans who walked past said he looked like a man replaying his whole life in his head. The chaos that once surrounded them had finally settled into an eerie calm, and no one knew what would come next. K. Michelle, meanwhile, was living in her own kind of triumph. Her name was trending every day. Her interviews were going viral, and her music streams had doubled. She didn't seem shaken by the backlash at all. During a radio appearance, the host asked if she regretted leaking the story. She leaned forward, smiling faintly. Regret? No. Sometimes you gotta burn down the old to build something real. People can call it drama, but I call it truth. You can't keep pretending forever. Her words hit like another bomb across the fanbase. Some admired her courage, while others said she had crossed a line that could never be undone. Still, not everything was as simple as it looked. Behind the cameras, producers were panicking. Sponsors had pulled out, threatening to cut funding unless the next season toned down the scandal. Mona, who had always known how to spin chaos into gold, found herself in an unusual position, having to defend the very brand she built. During a meeting with VH1 executives, she listened as they questioned her decisions. "You created a monster," one executive said flatly. Mona didn't flinch. "No," she replied, "I created a mirror. People just don't like what they see." But the fallout wasn't just professional, it was deeply personal. Rashida's closest friends, including Toya, Wright, and Tiny, began distancing themselves quietly. No one wanted to be caught in the storm. Every lunch, every casual hangout, risked becoming tabloid fodder. And yet, in private circles, people whispered that Rashida wasn't done. Rumors spread that she had been approached by Netflix to produce her own documentary, telling her side of the story in her own words. Whether true or not, it sent Mona into full damage control. She called her team, tightened non-disclosure agreements, and warned staff about loose lips. Meanwhile, Jasmine had moved to Houston. Locals spotted her working at a small boutique downtown, avoiding cameras and interviews. But online, her past followed her everywhere. Fans would comment under her posts, calling her a homewrecker, while others defended her, saying she was just another pawn in Mona's game. Late one night, she posted a cryptic quote on her Instagram story. "One day, I'll tell my side. Until then, let them believe what they want." The story disappeared in 24 hours, but screenshots made it viral again. People speculated that she was preparing to drop her own tell-all. Kirk tried to reach out to Jasmine, maybe out of guilt, maybe for closure, but she ignored every message. When he called, she blocked his number. In her mind, their chapter was closed. She had loved him once, believed in his promises, and paid the price for it. Now, she wanted peace, even if it meant disappearing from the spotlight completely. Yet, deep inside, part of her still watched the show clips when they came across her feed. It wasn't nostalgia, it was disbelief that she had ever been part of something so unreal, yet so consuming. As all this unfolded, Yandy Smith entered the scene again. During an interview for another VH1 project, a journalist brought up Rashida and the fallout. Yandy, always poised, hesitated before answering. "It's sad," she said softly. "We all started this for fun, for exposure, for opportunity. But somewhere along the way, the show started feeding on our real lives. It became less about entertainment and more about survival." Her honesty struck a chord, and that clip began circulating online. Fans commented that maybe Yandy was right, maybe everyone had gone too far trying to prove something on camera. Behind the scenes, Mona was still pushing forward. She called K. Michelle into her office one evening, determined to find a way to capitalize on the buzz. "You shook the table," Mona said, half admiring, half frustrated. "Now we gotta build something out of it." K. Michelle crossed her legs and replied, "Then build it on truth this time, not fake love stories." Mona smirked. "Truth doesn't trend like lies." The two women locked eyes for a moment, both knowing they were talking about more than just television, but outside the studios and boardrooms. Real emotions continued to ripple through the people who had been caught in the center of it all. Rashida's mother, Miss Shirlene, was furious. She went live on Facebook one evening, defending her daughter with the kind of raw emotion only a mother can bring. "Y'all out here judging my baby like she ain't human," she said. "Y'all don't know what she went through, what she put up with. Half of these folks couldn't last a week in her shoes." Her words went viral within minutes. Fans flooded the comments with love and support, giving Rashida the first wave of public sympathy she had received in months. Meanwhile, in private, Kirk was breaking down. Friends said he barely left the house anymore. He had lost not only his wife's trust but also the public respect he once clung to. Even his businesses suffered, as fans boycotted his restaurants and merch. In one rare sighting, paparazzi caught him sitting alone in his car outside the Frost Bistro, his head resting on the steering wheel. The caption under the viral photo read, "Karma in real time." Rashida finally resurfaced publicly 2 months later, appearing at a charity event in Atlanta. She wore a white dress, simple and elegant, her demeanor calm but unreadable. When reporters tried to ask about Kirk or the scandal, she smiled faintly and said, "Some stories are done. It's time for new ones." That quote made headlines everywhere. People praised her for her grace, calling it the softest comeback in reality TV history. But those who knew her well said she was still healing, still rebuilding herself, piece by piece. Then came one final twist that no one expected. A year after the infamous reunion, a new VH1 spin-off trailer dropped. Rashida, Rebirth. The teaser featured her walking through an empty soundstage, her voice narrating over slow piano music. "They told my story for years," she said. "Now I'm taking it back." The internet erupted again. Fans couldn't tell if it was another scripted series or a real documentary, but the intrigue was instant. Even Mona, watching from her office, couldn't hide a small, proud smile. "She learned from the best," she murmured. The show premiered 3 months later and shattered streaming records. Unlike Love and Hip Hop, it was quieter, more reflective. Rashida spoke directly to the camera about her mistakes, her pain, and her growth. There were no screaming matches, no wine glasses flying across rooms, just raw honesty. Viewers were stunned. For the first time, they saw a woman who wasn't performing, who wasn't editing herself for ratings. They saw Rashida. By the end of the series, she had done what no one thought possible. She regained her dignity, her peace, and her audience's respect. Even Kirk, watching from home, posted a short message on his Instagram. "Proud of you, always." The comment section exploded with mixed reactions, but Rashida didn't respond. She didn't need to. As the final credits rolled, her voice came through one last time. "Sometimes the drama isn't what breaks you, it's what shows you who you really are. I used to think the cameras made me famous. Now I know they just showed the world my lessons." The screen faded to black, and soft music played over her final words. "This isn't the end. It's just peace." And just like that, the saga that began with a fight, a leak, and a scandal ended not with another explosion, but with quiet closure. Fans around the world felt something rare for a show built on chaos, a moment of stillness. Maybe, they thought, the real drama had finally given way to something real. Mona Scott, watching from a distance, knew the story was far from over. Because in the world she built, peace never lasted long. Somewhere out there, another camera was already waiting to capture the next spark, the next heartbreak, the next confession. But for Rashida, for the first time in years, the lights had gone out and she was perfectly fine with that. Months passed, and for the first time in years, Atlanta's entertainment world began to feel different. The constant noise of scandal had quieted, the rumors had slowed, and the old cast members of Love and Hip Hop seemed to fade into their separate lives. But for those who had lived through the chaos, Yandy, Erica, Mendeecees, Rashida, and the rest, something deeper had shifted. Fame had taken its toll, leaving behind scars that didn't heal easily. The reunion brawl had been the breaking point for many. Yet somehow it also became the strange kind of freedom that comes after total collapse. Yandy and Mendeecees were still together, though not without tension. After the fight with Erica, Yandy had made it clear that her patience had limits. "I can't live with secrets anymore," she told him one night as they sat in their living room, the glow of the TV flickering across their faces. Mendeecees looked worn out, his usual calm replaced by quiet guilt. "I didn't do anything with her, Yandy," he said softly. "You don't have to do something to make it hurt," she replied. "You just have to let her think she could." That line stuck in the air between them, heavier than any argument. Meanwhile, Erica was living her life like nothing had happened. She had turned the backlash into opportunity, booking interviews, launching a new beauty line, and teasing her followers with cryptic posts. "Never let a man or a moment define you," she wrote under one of her photos, dressed head to toe in gold. The comments were divided, some cheering her on, others calling her out for hypocrisy. But she didn't care. For Erica, attention was survival. It didn't matter if it came from love or hate. She had mastered both. Behind closed doors though, the weight of everything lingered. The on-set chaos, the screaming, the betrayal, it had changed her. Late at night, when the house was quiet, she sometimes replayed the fight in her head. The way Yandy looked at her, not just angry but disappointed, had cut deeper than she expected. For all their differences, Erica had once admired Yandy's strength. Now, that admiration had turned into regret she couldn't quite name. Mona Scott was already planning her next move. She had weathered storms before, but this one had made even her pause. The network had tightened its grip, the lawyers had multiplied, and the trust between cast and producers had nearly evaporated. Still, she couldn't let the show die. "Drama is oxygen," she told her assistant during a late-night meeting. "If we stop breathing it, the show dies. And if the show dies, so do they." Her plan was risky, a spin-off that would bring old faces back under new rules. She wanted authenticity this time, or at least the illusion of it, but Yandy wasn't sure she wanted to return. After everything that happened, she had begun focusing on her businesses and family again. She found peace in simple things: cooking dinner, helping her kids with homework, going to charity events. When Mona called her with the proposal, Yandy listened quietly before saying, "I'm not sure I have another storm in me, Mona." The producer laughed lightly, though her tone was edged. "You always say that, and then you show up and steal the scene." Yandy smiled faintly. Maybe that's the problem. Mendeecees had his own reasons for avoiding the spotlight. The online backlash had been brutal: memes, think pieces, even fans dissecting his old interviews for signs of guilt. He hated how it made Yandy look, hated how their marriage had become public property. One afternoon, he drove out to a quiet lake, just outside the city. No cameras, no phones. He sat there for hours, watching the water move, wondering if the fame had been worth it. Meanwhile, Erica had signed a deal with another network for her own reality project. It was marketed as a story of resilience, but everyone knew it was a soft reboot of her image. The first episode opened with her walking through an empty studio, narrating how she'd been misunderstood and misrepresented. She never mentioned Yandy or Mendeecees by name, but the subtext was clear. "People love to tell your story like they were there," she said in the voiceover, "but no one ever asks how it feels when your real life becomes their entertainment." The show premiered to huge ratings, and once again, Erica was everywhere. Still, the ghost of that fight wouldn't die. Every interview she gave, every event she attended, someone brought it up. "Would you ever make peace with Yandy?" a reporter asked her on a red carpet. Erica's lips curved into a small smile. "Peace isn't for cameras," she said, and walked away. That clip alone got millions of views. As for Yandy, she tried to stay above it. She had learned that silence could be louder than any statement, but the memories lingered: the shouting, the chaos, the humiliation. One night, as she scrolled through social media, she saw an old photo of herself, Mendeecees, and Erica from years before. They were smiling, posing like friends. The comments underneath were ruthless, but Yandy didn't read them. She just stared at the image for a long time before turning off her phone. The industry had moved on, but the fans hadn't. They kept dissecting every glance, every post, every line from every old episode. Entire YouTube channels were dedicated to analyzing the feud, while others romanticized it, calling it the golden age of reality TV drama. The truth was, none of them knew how real it had felt in the moment. For the people living it, it wasn't a storyline, it was survival. Then came a charity gala in New York City that changed everything. Both Yandy and Erica were invited, though neither knew the other would be attending. The event was for a foundation supporting single mothers, and ironically, both women had been chosen to speak. When Yandy arrived in a sleek black gown, the crowd turned to look. A few minutes later, Erica entered dressed in red, confident, radiant, and just a little defiant. The photographers went wild. The tension was immediate, a low hum that spread through the room. Yandy noticed Erica across the hall but didn't react. She smiled politely at people, greeted sponsors, and kept her composure. But when it came time to speak, fate forced them together. The organizer, unaware of their history, called both women on stage for a joint address about strength through adversity. The audience fell silent as the two walked toward the podium. Yandy spoke first, her voice calm and grounded. "Strength isn't about pretending to be perfect," she said. "It's about standing tall even when people try to tear you down." The room applauded. Then Erica stepped up. Sometimes strength is saying nothing at all, she said, glancing briefly at Yandy. Nothing at all, she said, glancing briefly at Yandy. Sometimes it's walking away before you lose yourself. There was a flicker of tension, but no explosion. Just a strange, quiet understanding. After the event, backstage, they crossed paths again. Neither spoke at first. Erica finally broke the silence. We both lost too much for this to keep going, she said softly. Yandy nodded. We did. It wasn't friendship, not forgiveness, but something close to closure. They parted without another word. Later that night, Mendeecees called Yandy from home. How was the event? He asked. She hesitated, then smiled. Peaceful, she said. He laughed softly. Didn't think I'd ever hear that word from you again? Months later, a final epilogue began to write itself. Erica's new show continued to do well, but it lacked the wild spark of love and hip-hop. Fans began saying it felt too calm, too real, even too mature. Yandy launched a mentorship program for young women, helping them navigate fame and business. She rarely talked about the past, but everyone knew it still lived somewhere inside her. Mendeecees became more private, focusing on family and avoiding interviews altogether. As for Mona, she was already creating the next chapter. She had new cast members, new cities, new stories ready to ignite. But privately, she admitted to one of her producers that the old era had been special. We didn't just make TV, she said. We made a cultural storm. The producer smiled. Would you ever bring them back? Mona's eyes glimmered. Only if they're ready to tell the truth this time. But perhaps the biggest shift wasn't in the show or its stars, it was in the audience. The fans had grown up, too. They had watched these people break, rebuild, and grow in front of them. And somehow, in all the noise, they saw themselves. They saw how fame can twist love, how pride can destroy peace, and how sometimes forgiveness isn't about reconciliation, it's about letting go. Years later, when people looked back on that infamous fight between Yandy and Erica, they no longer talked about the spilled drinks or the screaming. They talked about the silence that followed, the strange calm that came after everything burned down. It became legend, the moment that turned reality TV into something almost human. In interviews, years later, Yandy was once asked if she regretted that day. She smiled faintly and said, "Regret? No. It was ugly, but it showed me who I was." Sometimes chaos teaches you more than calm ever could. Erica, in a separate interview, said nearly the same thing. We were both hurting. The cameras just caught it. But maybe the world needed to see that even strong women break. And that was how the story finally ended, not with another fight or another rumor, but with two women who had survived the madness, found their voices, and learned to walk away with dignity. The chaos that once defined them had become the reason they changed. And for once, there were no cameras rolling when peace finally arrived. As the lights on set flickered, and the tension hung thicker than the studio air, Yandy's voice broke through like a storm tearing across calm water. You think you can play me, Erica, after everything I did for this show, for Mendeecees, for you, she shouted, her tone trembling between fury and heartbreak. Erica shot back, girl, don't act like you innocent. You've been throwing shade since day one, since you saw Mendeecees texting me. The room fell silent for a split second. Crew members froze, unsure if they should step in or let the chaos unfold. Cameras kept rolling because Mona Scott wasn't about to waste a scene this explosive. Mendeecees stood between them, his eyes darting, trying to calm both women before things spiraled further. Yo, stop, both of y'all wildin' right now, he said, but his voice was drowned out by the sound of Yandy's tears turning into rage. The argument stretched beyond the surface. It wasn't just about messages or rumors anymore. It was about pride, about love, about years of loyalty being tested in the glare of reality TV. Erica's words hit like a knife. You think Mendeecees gonna stay loyal to a woman who treats him like a project? He a grown man, not your brand. Yandy's face hardened. Say that again, she said quietly, stepping closer, her heels clicking on the set floor like echoes of old resentment. Say that again and see what happens. The crew tried to pull her back, but she shrugged them off. Fans watching the leaked footage later would swear they saw a tear slip down her cheek before she turned away. Mona Scott, ever the producer, whispered to a cameraman, "Don't cut, this is gold." But even she looked uneasy. Things had gone beyond TV drama. This was personal. The tension drew others in. Safari peeked from behind a light rig, shaking his head. Yo, this about to blow up online, he muttered. Nearby, Scrappy whispered to Bambi, this the kind of fight that ends friendships forever. Bambi sighed, and breaks families too. Meanwhile, Yandy stormed out of the set, makeup smudged, mic still clipped to her blouse. She didn't care. She wanted air. She wanted to scream. I gave this man everything. She muttered to herself. Everything. And she thinks she can take that away. Outside, under the heavy studio night sky, she called her friend Kim. I swear if she shows up at another shoot with him, I'm done. I'll walk away from all this. Kimbella's voice was calm but firm. Girl, you not gonna walk away. You built too much. But you gotta stop letting these girls get to you. Yandy exhaled shakily. It's not about the girls. It's about him. If he let her in once, what's stopping him next time? Kimbella didn't answer. Deep down, she knew no advice could fix what fame had already fractured. Meanwhile, inside, Mendeecees sat slumped in a corner chair. Erica paced the room, running her hands through her hair. You could have said something, Mendeecees. Instead, you just stood there letting her come for me like that. He lifted his head, his expression worn. You think I wanted this? I told y'all both to chill. This whole thing getting out of control. Erica scoffed. Out of control. Boy. It'd been out of control since you started acting like you still got love for her. That line cut deep. The silence after it was thick, almost unbearable. Mendeecees looked away. It ain't like that. But Yandy, she been through a lot with me. I can't just turn cold. Erica threw up her hands. Then why the hell am I even here? Her voice cracked, a mix of anger and disbelief. I thought you wanted real, but you still caught up in your past. Before he could answer, she stormed out, cameras following her like shadows. Outside, she found herself face to face with Yandy again. Both women breathing hard, raw emotion glistening in their eyes. Neither spoke for several seconds. The wind carried only the faint hum of the city. Finally, Yandy said, You want to destroy me? Erica, go ahead. But don't pretend this is about love. This is about fame. Erica's lips trembled. You think you own him, but love don't come with contracts. Their words clashed harder than their voices. Two women who had fought for everything, their men, their image, their survival, now stood on opposite ends of the same heartbreak. When Mendeecees came out, he froze, realizing how deep the wound had gone. Yo, y'all both gotta stop this, he said softly, his tone breaking. It's not worth it. Yandy turned to him, eyes blazing. Then make a choice, because I'm not sharing my life with a man who can't draw a line. Mendeecees hesitated. Cameras zoomed in, catching every flicker of uncertainty. The world would replay that moment for weeks, dissecting his silence. Back in the editing room, producers debated what to cut. One assistant whispered, "This is too raw." But Mona shook her head. "This is the truth people crave. We're showing what love and loyalty really cost." When the trailer dropped days later, it exploded across social media. Yandy and Erica throw hands over Mendeecees, the headlines screamed. Fans flooded the comments, some defending Yandy's loyalty, others siding with Erica's boldness. One wrote, "This ain't no show anymore. This real life breaking down on camera." Another said, "Mendeecees need to grow up. These women deserve peace." As the episode aired, ratings soared, but behind the glamour and gossip, the damage lingered. Yandy stopped answering calls from producers. Erica went quiet online. Mendeecees stayed off social media entirely. Mendeecees stayed off social media entirely. And for the first time, Mona Scott wondered if she had gone too far chasing drama. One night, she called Yandy privately. "You okay?" she asked. Yandy paused before answering. "No, Mona, I'm not, because somewhere between love and fame, I lost myself." Mona closed her eyes, realizing there was no script that could rewrite what had already been said. No edit that could heal the fracture between hearts laid bare for the world to see. The days after the confrontation felt like a hangover that wouldn't fade. The internet wouldn't stop replaying the clip, zooming in on every expression, every tear, every whispered insult between Yandy and Erica. Fan accounts were posting slow-motion edits of the fight set to dramatic music. Gossip blogs wrote long think pieces about the real reason behind the tension. And even radio hosts couldn't resist weighing in. "It's giving betrayal," one DJ said on air. "This ain't just TV drama. Something real went down behind those scenes." Yandy, sitting in her apartment in Atlanta, scrolled through the chaos on her phone until her hands started to shake. "They don't even know the half of it," she muttered. Her phone buzzed Mendeecees again. She ignored the call. Inside, she was torn between anger and exhaustion. She had loved Mendeecees for so long that the lines between forgiveness and weakness had blurred. She walked to the window, staring out at the rain as it hit the glass, each drop sounding like another reminder that she had let cameras into places of her life that should have stayed private. Her assistant came in quietly. "Mona wants to talk. She said it's about next week's shoot." Yandy shook her head. "Tell her, I'm not filming." The assistant hesitated. "You sure?" She said the network's already confirmed. Yandy's jaw tightened. Then they'll have to confirm my absence, too. Meanwhile, Erica was at a hotel across town doing the opposite, leaning into the storm. She sat on a plush couch during a live stream, glass of wine in hand, her makeup perfect, voice steady. "I'm not gonna let anybody paint me as the villain," she told her viewers. "Yandy came for me first. All I did was stand my ground." The comments flooded, and some calling her brave, others accusing her of lying. One fan wrote, "You knew she still loved him. Why poke the wound?" Erica read it aloud with a scoff. "If love means owning a man, then no thank you." But when the camera went off, her confidence faded. She placed the glass down and stared into the dim light, whispering, "Why did I even let it get this far?" Mendeecees was caught in the middle like a man trapped between two fires. His phone was ringing non-stop, calls from producers, fans, and family. His mother finally reached him. "Boy, what have you done?" she said sharply. "You letting two women fight over you on TV, like you some prize. That ain't how I raised you." Mendeecees rubbed his face, sighing. "Ma, I ain't asked for all this. I told Em to chill." She wasn't impressed. Telling Em to chill don't fix it. You gotta make peace. You owe them both that. Her words lingered long after the call ended. The following week, filming resumed at a private studio outside the city. Mona Scott had convinced everyone to return by promising that the cameras would focus on healing and clarity. Though no one fully believed her, Yandy arrived first, wearing a gray sweatsuit, her hair tied back, face bare. She wasn't here for glamour. She was here to end things on her own terms. Erica came in 15 minutes later, dressed sharp, lips glossed, eyes locked forward like she was entering a courtroom. Mendeecees showed up last, quiet, guarded, avoiding both women's gazes. The tension was visible even before a single word was spoken. Mona tried to set the tone. "Look, we've all seen how bad things got, but today is about resolution. We owe the fans that." Yandy folded her arms. "I don't owe anyone but myself." Erica laughed under her breath. "Oh please, you owe half your brand to this show." Yandy turned slowly toward her. "And you owe half your relevance to my story?" Mona raised her hand. "Stop. This isn't about winning." But neither woman cared about control. For them, it was about reclaiming dignity. Mendeecees finally spoke. "Look, I'm not perfect. I messed up. Maybe I sent the wrong message. Maybe I didn't set enough boundaries. But I never wanted y'all to hate each other." Yandy's voice broke slightly. "You didn't stop it either." Erica leaned back, muttering, "Men always love to play peacemaker after the damage." Mona motioned for cameras to keep rolling. This was the kind of raw emotion the network craved. Yandy's eyes filled again. "You let her disrespect me, Mendeecees, in front of the world. You know how that felt." He looked at her helplessly. "I didn't know how to stop it without making it worse." For a brief moment, silence filled the room. Even Erica softened, realizing how far things had gone. She said quietly, "Maybe I shouldn't have said what I said that night. But you came for me too, Yandy." The admission hung heavy. It wasn't an apology, but it was the closest thing to one anyone expected. Yandy's response was soft but firm. "I don't want to fight anymore. I just want peace." Mona's shoulders eased slightly. Maybe, for once, they could end a feud without violence. But as always, peace on reality TV is fragile. Later that evening, during a group dinner scene meant to symbolize unity, things began to unravel again. Mendeecees tried to make a toast. "To growth and forgiveness," he said, raising his glass. Yandy smiled faintly, but Erica rolled her eyes. "Forgiveness, huh? Does that come before or after you text your ex?" The table went quiet. Safari choked on his drink. Scrappy muttered, "Here we go again." Yandy's smile disappeared. "What did you just say?" she asked slowly. Erica shrugged, pretending nonchalance. "Don't play dumb. You know what's in that man's phone?" Yandy turned to Mendeecees, her expression sharp. "Is that true?" He hesitated, which was all the answer she needed. She stood up, chair scraping loudly. "I can't believe this," she said. "You swore you were done lying." Erica whispered, "Guess not." That whisper broke something in Yandy. She leaned across the table, pointing a finger. "You don't get to speak on my life anymore." Mendeecees grabbed her arm gently. "Please, just listen." But she pulled away. "No, you listen. You put me in this mess, and now you expect me to smile for the cameras." The dinner ended in chaos. Crew members scrambled to calm everyone as producers shouted for security to stand by. Erica stormed off again, yelling, "I'm done being your storyline." And Yandy, tears streaming down, shouted after her, "You were never my storyline. You were my lesson." It was the kind of scene that would replay for months in GIFs and memes. But for those living it, it felt like heartbreak televised. The next morning, social media erupted. Hashtags like hashtag Team Yandy and hashtag Team Erica trended worldwide. Fans posted long threads analyzing Mendeecees' body language, debating whether he had really been unfaithful. Interviews, reaction videos, even parody skits flooded YouTube. One clip of Yandy saying "You were my lesson" hit 10 million views in 3 days. Yandy herself stayed silent. Her publicist advised her not to respond, but silence, in the age of drama, only fuels curiosity. Finally, Yandy broke her silence with a long Instagram caption beneath a black and white photo of her standing alone by a window. Sometimes strength means walking away quietly, not because you lost, but because you're finally done fighting for what drains you. The post got hundreds of thousands of likes. Erica commented a single word: respect. Fans went wild. Some thought it meant reconciliation. Others thought it was shade. But Yandy didn't reply. Mendeecees called that night, but she didn't answer. Instead, she recorded a voice note and sent it. "You wanted peace. This is mine. I forgive you, but I can't go back." He listened in silence, replaying it over and over until the message felt burned into his chest. Erica, too, disappeared from social media for a while, retreating into quiet reflection. Even Mona, sitting in her office reviewing footage, found herself pausing mid. She whispered to herself, "This one feels different. This one hurts." But in the world of reality TV, pain sells. And as the network prepared to air the explosive finale, one thing was certain: nothing would ever be the same between them again. And as the dust finally settled, the truth was no longer about who won the fight or who told the loudest story. It was about what was left behind. When the cameras stopped rolling, Yandy sat in silence that night, her phone lighting up with messages from fans, castmates, even strangers who claimed they understood her pain. Some called her brave, some said she went too far, but what mattered was that people saw the raw heart behind the fame. Across town, Erica did the same, scrolling through endless comments, trying to breathe under the weight of a world that had turned her heartbreak into content. Mendeecees, somewhere between them, faced the reflection of his choices, realizing that fame had given him everything but peace. The final episode aired with record-breaking numbers. Millions tuned in, gasping, tweeting, arguing, and dissecting every second. When the screen faded to black, the studio phones rang non-stop. Fans demanded updates, wanted confessions, wanted one more glimpse into the chaos that had left everyone speechless. But behind the scenes, the three of them, Yandy, Erica, and Mendeecees, had nothing left to give. There were no more words to twist, no more emotions to rehearse. What was once entertainment had become a mirror showing them what fame had taken. Yet, even in that silence, one thing remained: curiosity. The viewers couldn't let go. Was there still love between Yandy and Mendeecees? Had Erica moved on for good? Would Mona bring them all back for another explosive reunion? Everyone had a theory. And every theory kept the story alive, because at its core, love and hip-hop had never just been about the music. It was about love that hurt, pride that cracked, and loyalty that burned under the spotlight. And maybe that's why you're still watching, still feeling like you were right there in that studio when the first shout broke the calm. Because deep down, you know this isn't just a show. It's the reflection of every heartbreak, every fight for respect, every time someone loved too hard and got caught in the crossfire. It's messy, it's human, and it's real in the way only pain on camera can be. So as we close this chapter, remember, every story on love and hip-hop starts with ambition but ends with truth. And sometimes the truth hurts. Maybe Yandy will rise stronger. Maybe Erica will find peace. Maybe Mendeecees will finally learn what love demands. Or maybe this is just the calm before another storm. Because if there's one thing this world guarantees, it's that where love, loyalty, and ego meet, drama will always follow. Now we want to hear from you. Whose side are you on after all this chaos? Do you think Yandy was right to finally walk away? Or do you believe Erica just exposed a truth that needed to be said? What about Mendeecees? Does he deserve another chance? Or did he lose the respect of everyone watching? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, because your opinion matters here. This isn't just a show, it's a conversation, and you're part of it. If you felt that emotion, if you gasped, if you found yourself yelling at your screen or shaking your head in disbelief, then hit that like button right now. It's one click, but it tells us you're riding with us through every twist, every tear, every betrayal that keeps you coming back. And don't forget to subscribe, because the next episode is already brewing, and you won't believe what's coming next. Trust me, it's bigger, messier, and even more shocking than what you just witnessed. And turn on those notifications so you don't miss a single drop. Every time the truth slips, every time a secret leaks, Every time love turns into war, we'll be right here breaking it down for you. Because in this world, nothing stays hidden for long. And to all the real ones still watching till the end, thank you. You're not just viewers, you're part of the family that keeps this world spinning. Every comment, every share, every moment you spend watching means more than you know. You make this drama worth telling. And you remind us that stories like these still matter. So go ahead, sound off in the comments. Tell us how you feel about Yandy, Erica, and Mendeecees. Do you think forgiveness is possible? Or has the damage gone too deep? And if you've ever been caught between love and pride, you already know there's no easy way out. We'll be back soon, with more secrets, more truth, and more of the drama you can't stop talking about. Because when emotions run high and reality turns raw, one thing is guaranteed: the story never really ends. Thank you for watching. This is Glamreal, where love burns brighter, fights cut deeper, and every episode reminds you that behind the fame, the pain is always real. Like, comment, subscribe, and stay tuned because the next chapter is already on its way.